Okay?
Yep.
When you push.
Says recording.
Hi there. My name is Gregory H. Arabian, and I am a major in the United States Air Force, honorably discharged, and I am the director of the Oral History Project of the Corporal Paul S. Masubian MVets Post 41. The date is September 24, 2003. And today, we're taking the oral history of one of our comrades who served in the United States Navy. His name is Neshon Hagopian, and he lives in Brighton, Massachusetts. And at this time, we're going to take his oral history. Okay, Neshon. Neshon, I understand that you served in the Navy as well as the Merchant Marine, is that correct?
Correct.
And I think you served in the Navy before the Merchant Marine, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Where do you live, Neshon?
Brighton, Mass.
Okay. Now, were you drafted or did you enlist?
I enlisted initially. What happened was that when the Korean War broke out, they kept me another year.
Okay. Now, you say your dates of enlistment were January of 48 to December of 51?
Correct.
Okay. So, you were in the Navy before the Korean conflict, is that it?
When I enlisted, right.
When you enlisted, okay. And you stayed on for another year?
Well, they extended me. It was a 3-year enlistment, so they kept me for another year, so which made it 4 years.
Okay. When you initially drafted in the Navy, where did you live?
Boston, Mass.
And were you living with your parents?
Yes.
Where did they live?
In Roxbury, Mass.
Okay. And what was your father and where did he come from?
My father was a barber,
Uh-huh.
and he came from Turkey, wherever,
Okay.
Turkey, and then he met my mother here.
What part of Turkey?
He was a Pavlovci, I think.
Pavlo.
Pavlo, yeah.
Yeah, he came from Pavlo.
Yeah,
And of course we see that as Turkish-occupied Armenia, don't we?
yeah, right,
Yeah. So he came from Pavlo.
right,
And when he came here, he was single.
right.
And where did your mother come from?
She was a Pavlovci.
She was also Pavlovci.
I guess Pavlovci?
Pavlo, yeah, Pavlo.
Pavlo, yeah.
Pavlo, we
Yeah.
say the same. So she came over here as well, is that right?
Correct.
And where did they meet?
Cousins put them together, cousins
In the Boston area?
in the Boston area, right.
Okay. And you lived with them until the time that you enlisted in the Navy?
Correct,
And you have one brother?
correct.
Was he ever in the service?
Yes, he was in the Air Force.
That's your brother Armin?
Correct.
Okay. And when you went into the Navy, where did you report?
Boston, Mass. Fargo building.
In the Fargo building? And what happened over there?
Well, I took a physical and passed the physical, and they gave me a date to report again, and I reported probably a week later, and they shipped me to Great Lakes Naval Training Center.
Okay. Why did you join the Navy?
Well, the war was over, and I wanted to do my part for the country.
You're talking about the Second World War?
Second World War was over, and everybody, all my friends were coming home and everything, and I wanted to be a part of, to help out.
You felt obligated to serve your country?
Yeah, serve my country.
Okay. Had you graduated high school?
Yes.
You didn't have any trade?
No, not at that time.
Were you working at the time that you enlisted?
No.
Okay. So, and is there any special reason why you picked the Navy over any other branch of the service?
That was kind of an accident. I was on the subway from Roxbury to go downtown to join the Army. And, you know, I wanted to join the Army, so the subway stopped at a certain stop, and a friend of mine I went through high school with got on. We started talking, and he said, I said, where are you going? He says, he's going to join the Navy. So I said, I'm going to join the Army. He says, well, why don't you join the Navy? We'll go together. I thought it over. So I said, okay. So we went to the recruit station together and joined.
So it was a matter of the MBTA and the place where the subway stopped?
Stopped, correct.
Okay. So you both joined the Navy together?
Correct.
Who, do you remember who that was that you went with?
His name was Jeannie Creighton.
Uh-huh.
Jeannie Creighton. And what happened was we both got shipped to Great Lakes, and they shipped him to one end of the Great Lakes, and they shipped me to the other, and I never seen him again.
Really? Okay. So, describe your experience at the Great Lakes.
Well, it was boot camp was 3 months.
What did that consist of?
Well, it was getting up early in the morning and drill and classes and marching, things like that. And
What kind of classes?
we had general rifle classes and military guns and stuff. You know.
Military handling of weapons?
Handling weapons thing.
Okay.
Live ammunition, you know. These.
You went through live ammunition training?
Yes.
What kind of weapons were you trained in?
Well, it was I think it was the M1 was one of them, and the 45, and that's about it.
Did you get out in the rifle range?
Yes, we were out in the rifle range. And,
Okay. Did you, were you able to pass your rifle tests?
yes, I passed.
You got a marksman rating or anything?
No, nothing.
Just you passed the test?
Passed the test, yeah.
Okay. And so the World War II was over, but soon you found out that you were in you were serving during the Korean conflict.
Later on, they assigned me out. I went to electrician mate school for 3 months.
When was that?
That was in 1948, the same year.
After
Right
Great
after
Lakes?
right after boot camp.
Okay.
And the school was in the same area, so I went there for 3 months, electrician mate. And then they transferred me to Norfolk, Virginia, on the USS Cadmus.
Okay. So you went through electrician training.
Yes.
Okay. Of course, you didn't know anything about being an electrician before
Not
you
at
went in
that
the
time,
Navy.
no.
And were you able to pass the test for being an electrician's mate?
Yes, yes. As soon as I graduated school, I was a fireman apprentice, then I became a fireman. That's
Okay.
one step higher.
And a fireman is also supposed to know the duties of an electrician.
Correct.
Okay. Now, was this electrician training that you had specifically with regard to ships?
Correct.
Okay. And what were some of the things that you did as an electrician's mate?
Well, I worked on motors, generators. We used to rewind the armatures, and we had a special shop for that. Tear down the armature, take out the coils, and put in new coils, and just rebuild the armatures and the motors from other ships that come alongside.
Did the ships that you were repairing, or the ships on whose armatures you were working, did they have a lot of electrical motors to work on?
Yes, yes.
What kind of motors?
There's motors that run the winch. They're, you know, big, heavy horsepower motors, small horsepower motors.
What else did these motors do?
Well, the motors would drive the heavy would drive the winch. You know, the winch on
Yeah.
that picks up the cargo and everything.
Right.
That's the big ones. And the small ones, actually, we didn't really know what they did, because the ship sent the armatures over alone.
I see. They sent the parts
The
over.
parts over, yeah.
And your duty was to make sure that the parts worked, and you
Right,
sent them
right,
back.
right. We'd repair the parts, and send the parts back.
Did you have a separate electrician shop in the,
Correct, it was a one big shop, about half the size of this, well, about one-third the size of this hall here.
really?
Yeah, oh
That's a
yeah.
pretty big shop,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
sure.
And how many people did you have working in there?
Well, in my division, we had, maybe 30, something like that,
30 people working on electric motors.
yes.
Did they wear out that often?
Well, you got the whole Atlantic fleet, so, you know.
Yeah. So did you service how many ships did you service?
Well, every ship would come alongside, or when we went out to sea, I guess there was at least 50 or 100 anyway,
You had told me that you were aboard the USS Cadmus,
yes,
and that you designated that as AR-14.
correct,
Is that
Auxiliary-
auxiliary repair ship?
correct,
And that was with the 9th Atlantic Fleet?
yes.
Now, were you the only ship that had electrical shop aboard it?
No, they had the there was another one, our sister ship was the USS Amphion, and I'm sure they had others
Mhm.
on a different coast.
But you were one of the main electrical repair ships
Correct,
that worked the Atlantic Fleet.
correct.
So these ships would come to you, give you a bunch of armatures to do, and then they'd take off.
They'd come alongside of us,
Uh-huh.
and electrical shop, we did all the electrical work, but we had machine shop, all kinds of other shops, that we fixed any part that needed, plumbings, we had plumbing shops.
Uh-huh.
And
So
they-
they'd transfer
They
what had to be
transfer everything
repaired.
that had to be repaired over to us, we repaired it.
How did you know what ship it came?
Well, the ship was alongside,
Yeah,
would
But-
be,
but you repaired it, but when you went, how did you know which ship to send it back to?
well, I'm sure there was tags and everything on
The
it.
tags and everything. You had a regular system of
Regular
tagging?
system, oh yeah.
Okay. Were you ever involved in any actual dangers in which U-boats or submarines or anything like that would attack you?
No, at that time, it was peacetime,
It was
so,
peacetime, it was after World War
Initially,
II,
yeah,
so you had
after-
no fear of any
no,
attack
no.
by any other ship, one way or the other. Did you also service submarines?
Yes, submarines came alongside.
Submarines came alongside,
Yeah,
and you took care of their
oh yeah, yeah.
electrical?
Some of the crew would have to go on board their ship to repair whatever the problem was.
Did you ever have that occasion to do that?
No, not me.
Yeah, okay. Now, I had asked you whether or not you had any special medals or citations, and you had indicated that you did have a good conduct medal.
Mhm.
When did you receive that?
Well, when I got discharged, they asked me how to get a medal, and I said, well, I had good conduct while I was in the Navy, so
They gave you a good conduct medal.
good conduct medal, yeah.
Okay. So you say the highest rank that you had was EM second class, is that it?
Yeah.
But I think you said you were a fireman first class.
Well, when I got out of school,
I see.
when I
Okay.
got, it goes fireman apprentice, then the next grade up, I think it's an E2, is a fireman apprentice, fireman, electrician mate third class, and then electrician mate second class.
So
Which I
electrician
was.
made second class is above a fireman rating.
Correct, correct.
Okay. Now, did your time aboard the USS Cadmus, was it all time aboard ship, or did you have occasion to go on land?
No land, it was all ship. In fact, we were sent on other ships to help them repair things. I was on the USS Midway for a month,
Mhm.
and USS Roosevelt for, roughly 3 or 4 months, something like that.
The Cadmus was based out of Norfolk, Virginia.
Norfolk, Virginia, correct.
So what you would do is board ship on the Cadmus, and you would go out into the Atlantic and rendezvous with other ships that needed repair,
Correct, correct.
or else you would go aboard other ships like the Midway or the Roosevelt and take care of the problems that they may have aboard those ships. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, how excuse me, did you stay in touch with your family while you were aboard ship?
Correct.
How did you do that?
Well, I read and write Armenian, so,
Right.
you know, I just write,
So you used the mails?
use the mail, yeah,
And
regular
they had
mail.
regular mail pickup?
Correct, yeah.
And was that by ship or by air, or did you have a landing place for it?
Well, it
Aircraft.
depends. When we were in port, then it is a regular place. But out at sea, there's a ship that picks up all the mail.
Picks up the mail?
Right.
Okay. How was the food like? What was the food like?
Well, we complained every day about that, but when I
You
got
did?
out, yeah. Well, in a Navy ship, they make the eggs at 3 o'clock in the morning. And then they serve it 4 or 5 in the morning. It's not too good. It wasn't bad.
Because usually those people I've interviewed that have been in the Navy had no complaints about the food.
Really?
But you say there was a little problem with regard to the fact that they served it too early?
Yeah, they cooked it at 3 or 4 in the morning.
Yeah, you
And,
didn't have any appetite at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning?
No.
Yeah, yeah. And how about the rest of the meals? Lunch? Eat?
Well,
Dinner?
there was some good, some bad. Usually holidays were excellent.
There were.
Yeah.
And how are the facilities?
The mess hall, is it a
Yeah,
mess hall?
mess hall. You had a
It was
mess
clean,
hall?
It was clean, we had a mess hall, yeah.
Were you ever assigned a KP?
No,
Okay. And how about your laundry facilities?
laundry was, we had a laundry, you know, for the whole ship.
Mhm.
So, you know, anytime you have all your clothes stenciled, and you'd put them in a bag and send and give them to the laundry, and they'd clean it and give it back to you.
They were able to clean.
Yeah.
How many people did you have on the
Well,
ships
there was
like the
about,
Cadmus?
about 1,000, I think.
1,000.
1,000, yeah.
Okay. Did you feel any pressure or stress during your during the accomplishment of your tasks?
No, there's no pressure.
You just
Whenever you, as long as it took you to do the job, you
Yeah.
know, it didn't bother you.
and how? What did you? Were there folks that entertained you? Did you have any celebrities come
Well,
aboard
I
ship?
was, no, there wasn't, I was the movie operator on the ship,
Oh, you were.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
And you had a movie house there, a movie.
a place where they show the movies, and
Okay.
we had a different movie every night,
You did.
which I show, oh yeah, that's it.
And how did you get those? By
Well,
other ships that dropped them off?
sometime we were out at sea, we'd swap, you know, swap
Uh-huh.
ships. And then in port, there was a regular place where you could, I got on the Jeep and I went and picked up the movies for that week. And then returned them movies for the following weekend and pick up some more.
Was there any regularity with regard to your leaving Norfolk, going out into the Atlantic and coming back? How often did you do that?
Well, it all depends. Maybe we'd stay in the land for 2 months and then go out for 3 months,
I see.
you know, and then come back again and stay for a month or two.
So you had to have a good supply of movies and
Oh, yeah, yeah.
food,
Yeah.
and provisions. Okay. Do you recall some of the people that worked with you?
Yeah, I just,
Were you on good terms with them?
oh, yeah, definitely.
Uh-huh.
It's like family, because you sleep in the same quarters and
Yeah.
you eat in the same mess hall.
Yeah. Any serious fights amongst you?
No, I had one, but
Yeah.
that was, you know,
You got over it?
oh, yeah, it's,
Okay. Did you have a chaplain aboard your ship?
yeah, we had a chapel.
And of what
We- we-
denomination was he?
I think he was Catholic. You know, he had mass every Sunday morning.
And did you take advantage of?
I did it occasionally.
Okay. Now, I think you said that. How did you? And now you served during the Korean War, but you actually didn't go to Korea
No.
or anywhere around there. How did you feel about the Korean conflict?
Well, I was young then, and I felt, you know, they kept me a year. I felt fine. If they need me, I'll do what I can.
So you had planned to leave early.
Well, as soon as my enlistment was up, 3 years of my enlistment.
So you actually stayed in for 4 years.
4 years, yeah, the extra year.
Did they ask you to stay, or
No, they told me you got to
they
stay.
told me you got to stay? Okay. And but you didn't have any particular objection to
Oh,
that?
no, that's no problem.
And so you maintained your service in the Atlantic area?
Correct.
Okay. How did everybody else feel about being told that they have to stay? Were they also told that?
Yeah, oh yeah, everybody was extended a year.
Mhm.
And,
Did that in any way modify the conditions under which you served?
no, everything was.
You just kept on doing your work?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, Do you have any special memories of humorous or memorable experiences that you had while aboard ship?
Well, the only memorable experience I remember is we were out at sea and we were refueling. The tankers come alongside and we refuel, bring the oil back in.
Mhm.
And my job was to catch the line from the tanker and put it to our ship to refuel. And the one that was shooting the line with a gun was a kid that I went to high school with, you know.
Uh-huh.
Right across, you know, the ships that come alongside, the ship that was refueling us in the tanker, the guy who was going to shoot the gun to me, he was a friend of mine from high school. This is out in the middle of the Atlantic, that's the only thing.
So the way you transfer oil is by actually shooting a
Yeah,
hose?
well, they shoot a line over to you, and you pull the line in, and then the hose comes in, and you attach it to the tank that's on
Okay.
your ship.
The line they shoot is connected to a rope, so to speak.
Right,
You say a
right,
line.
right, it's a line.
And the rope is connected to the hose, and you pull that over, is that it?
Correct.
Okay. And was it oil that you transferred, or gasoline, or
It
what?
was oil,
It was oil,
yeah.
okay. And you did that as an electrician?
Well, yeah, right, because everybody had a duty, because I wasn't a second class or third class, I was a fireman at the time.
Okay. So this fellow went to high school with you?
Correct.
He recognized you?
Yeah, we knew each other, we swayed.
Yeah.
That was,
Okay. And when you say that you were sometimes 3 months in Norfolk and 3 months in ship, when you were in Norfolk, how did you interact with the local people there?
well, they actually didn't like us, but
That's what I heard.
yeah, they had signs all over, sailors and dogs keep up to the grass.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How did you feel about that?
Well, I wasn't too pleased, but I guess the people there, that some of the bad apples maybe just pushed them wrong. And I don't blame them for getting mad, but
Why do you think they disliked you?
well, I think I wasn't a drinker, but a lot of the sailors when you're out at sea, you come back in and they drank and they drank too much and caused a lot of problems. So I guess why the people didn't like it like that.
But Norfolk was a huge naval base.
Oh
wasn't it?
yeah,
Yeah. Not much they could do to keep you out.
no.
Okay. So, did you make any friends with civilians? Did you make any civilian friends at Norfolk?
Yes, I did because I was an amateur boxer, and I used to go in town and to the gym to work out.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Where was that?
Norfolk.
I know, but where in Norfolk?
It was a gym that we used to go to for amateur to train.
Really?
Yeah.
And were you involved in amateur boxing?
Yeah, in the Navy.
Really?
I made the finals in the featherweight class.
Really?
Yeah.
And where did you have your boxing matches?
Well, we had on the base. They had smokers. You know, every Friday night they had smokers. I fought there.
Mm-hmm.
And out at sea, we didn't do much fighting out there. Just when we came in the shore. Then,
Did you ever get seriously hurt?
No.
No.
Because we wore the headgear.
You had the overhead gear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And how heavy was the gloves?
I think they were 10 or 12 ounce then.
10 or 12 ounce gloves?
12 ounce, yeah.
Yeah. Did you do any fighting with the in the civilian area?
Yeah, I went to the civilian and they had amateur boxing in downtown, and I did a few fights there.
Did that present you with an occasion to be friendly with the civilians?
Yeah, I met a lot of good people there that
You
time.
did?
Yeah,
And they recognized you as being from the Navy.
yeah.
When you went there, did you go there in uniform?
No,
You always went in civilian?
oh yeah, we had lockers we would go to and change the uniforms, and then change into civilian clothes.
So, were you conscious about going down to Norfolk in the non-military area? Were you conscious about going there in civvies rather than in military clothes?
Yeah, well, the main reason was military clothes were very uncomfortable.
Really?
Yeah, it's just, especially the Navy, it's just
Yeah.
very uncomfortable, and civilian clothes were much better.
And I take it you're wearing summer clothes?
Summer clothes, yeah, yeah.
Okay. How was the weather down there in the wintertime?
It
Still
wasn't
warm?
bad, it wasn't bad, it's
Okay.
not as bad as up here.
All right. How did your parents feel about your enlisting in the Navy?
Well, I had a tough time having, my father didn't want to sign, but eventually, he signed.
He had to sign.
No, he didn't have to sign, but he did. 'Cause
What was his objection?
He's worried, I guess, you know.
And your mother?
Same with, as a matter of fact, when we went out to sea one time, she got in touch with the Red Cross, because I couldn't write. Well, sometimes when you're out at sea, they can't pick up the mail as much.
Uh-huh.
So she didn't get my letter. She went to the Red Cross, and then the Red Cross, through telegraph,
They contacted you
contacted the ship.
and you told them you were okay.
I'm okay. And they threw it back.
How did that strike you?
It was funny.
It was funny?
But if she didn't receive a letter, she'd worry like a son of a gun.
How often did they expect to receive letters from you?
Well, at least 2 weeks, every other week, they expect it.
Yeah. And you wrote to them in Armenian?
Yeah,
And did you explain to them how difficult it was to
yeah,
get
yeah.
mail? But they still wanted to hear from you?
Yeah.
Now, during that period of time, your brother was in the service too?
Essentially, yeah.
And where did he serve?
It's in one Air Force base over there in, big Air Force base,
Where?
Colorado,
In Colorado?
yeah.
I see. All right. Now, your service was extended involuntarily during the Korean War, and but when you came back, it was 1951. Had the Korean conflict ended by that time?
No, they were still
They're still at it.
at it, yeah.
Uh-huh. And how did you feel when you came back?
Well, they could have kept me longer, I wouldn't have bothered, it wouldn't have bothered me.
They didn't ask you?
No,
They just said you're out?
yeah.
All right. And when you got out of the Navy, what did you do then?
I went to prep school for 1 year.
You were entitled to the GI Bill, is that
Yeah,
correct?
under the GI Bill.
And you went to prep school under the GI Bill? Where?
It was Huntington Prep. I remember
Yeah.
on Huntington Avenue used to be. And then I went to Northeastern.
What did you learn in Huntington Prep?
Well, actually, it was college preparation courses,
Okay.
college prep,
And then you went to Northeastern after that?
yes,
Okay. Because you had graduated high school
yes,
before you went into the service.
correct,
And then from there you went to a preparatory school under
Right.
the GI Bill.
right,
And then from there you went to Northeastern.
right,
Did the GI Bill carry you through there?
right.
Okay. What did you learn at Northeastern?
Electronic engineering,
Okay. And did you obtain a degree?
yes,
Okay. In electronic
engineering.
engineering? Okay. And when did you graduate Northeastern?
That
Keeping in
was-
mind that you got out of the service in '51.
That was 1958, I think it was,
58.
58, yeah.
Okay. And what did you do after that?
I worked for different companies. I worked for Raytheon, Inland Controls, Teradyne, different companies.
As an electrician?
Electronic engineering.
Electronic engineer? Okay. And how about your parents? Were they proud of you?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's, you know,
Did you still live with them?
yeah,
And so you worked for various companies after graduating Northeastern?
yes.
And what happened after that?
The years went by and, you know,
You say in 1952 you went into the Merchant Marine.
yeah, 52, 53, something like that, I went to Merchant Marine.
This was after you had graduated from Northeastern?
No, that was 50,
It was
51.
before?
It
Okay,
was
I'm
before.
sorry. I'm sorry,
Before.
backing up. Here we are, we're going
Right
58.
out of the gate when I
We
come-
forgot your Merchant Marine experience.
Yeah,
Okay, so sometime between the time you got out of the Navy,
Merchant Marine was next.
you went into the Merchant Marine, and it was after that that you went to Huntington Prep and to Northeastern.
No, I went to Huntington Prep first,
Okay,
and then I went to Northeastern.
Mhm.
But what happened was, my Merchant Marine time was, Northeastern has a co-op plan.
oh yes,
Yeah, so during my co-op plan, I went in the Merchant Marine for the 3-4 months.
oh yeah,
So
okay.
that's the time and that got mixed in with my co-op plan.
Oh, so you were going into the Merchant Marine, you were serving in the Merchant Marine at
As
the
a
same
co-op.
time that you were going to Northeastern?
Correct.
I see. How did you find that? Did you find that helpful?
Yeah, it was a difference. It was a change.
Mhm.
You know, a change, and I made some money too.
You made more money in the Merchant Marine than you did in the Navy, I'll
Oh,
bet.
definitely, yeah.
Okay. Now, how did you work it? Did you go to Merchant Marine for so many months at a time before you went back to Northeastern, or what?
Yeah, I'd go in the Merchant Marine for 3 or 4 months, and then go back to Northeastern for a quarter or so, and then I'd go back in the Merchant Marine.
And this would be over a period of 2 years,
2 or 3 years.
2 or 3
yeah.
years? Let me see. While you were in the Merchant Marine, what did you do?
I was an electrician in the Merchant Marine.
And did you have a rank?
Electrician mate, that's all.
Electrician.
Mhm.
And where did you go?
We went to Southampton, England, Bremerhaven, Germany, Naples, Italy, Reykjavik, Iceland.
Reykjavik, Iceland.
Reykjavik, Iceland, yeah.
Yeah.
And
France,
France, Nice, yeah,
Nice,
yeah.
that's in the southern part, is it?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. And you were able to do this on these 3-month excursions, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And while you were in the Merchant Marine going to these various places, your duty was to do the same thing that you did in the Navy, namely repair
Essentially,
the armatures?
Yeah.
Electrical repair?
Mhm.
Okay. Did you have any memorable experiences in the Merchant Marine that you recall?
No, not really, just,
You never had time to make solid friendships there because it was only 3 months at a time, wasn't it?
correct, yeah.
And what kind of ships did you serve on?
Well, I was on troop transports most of the time, and there's one ship, it was a cargo ship I served on. It was a USNS Greenville Victory, I remember the name now.
Greenville Victory?
It was a cargo ship. We transferred cars back and forth.
Transferred cars?
Automobiles. yeah.
Automobiles?
Yeah.
Were these jeeps, military vehicles?
Yeah, military vehicle, and civilian cars too, because the officers were on a base in Germany, and we transferred their cars over there for them.
Uh-huh. Did, you weren't involved in making sure they were preserved or protected or anything like that?
No,
Now, was this in connection with the U.S. occupation forces in Germany?
correct.
So it was our duty to occupy the conquered areas and bring them
Correct.
up to snuff.
Correct.
Okay. You also stated that you served on the USNS General Patch.
That was a cargo ship.
That was the cargo ship,
No, that was the troop transport.
troop transport.
Right.
How many troops did you carry, roughly,
Well, I guess there was at least 3,000.
at a time?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Easily, yeah.
Were these troops that were coming back or going?
Well, what we'd do is we'd bring some troops going, and then pick up the ones coming back, same time.
So they were on rotation?
Rotation, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have any conversations with some of the troops as to what they were doing and how they felt about it?
No, not really. We never mingled together.
You
Cause
didn't?
no, it's the crew, our crew, we just stayed together and we didn't
Mm-hmm.
mingle with the troops because it takes around 11 days to go from Europe to New York.
11 days?
11 days, yeah.
Mhm.
So you can't do much in 11 days, different people.
Yeah. So these were troops that would rotate out to the continent, and other troops would come back when their
Correct.
service was done.
Mhm.
And of course, you don't know how often this was because it was only a 3-month at a time. How many trips did you make in a 3-month period?
Well, I figure 11 days, maybe 3, 6, 9 times.
You went from America to Europe 9 times in 3 months?
Yeah, I think so, something
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
How did you find the trips?
Well, when you're out at sea, it's not too good because sometimes you hit rough weather and
Yeah.
you tend to get sick and once you hit port, then you're okay.
Yeah.
You can go in town and have a good time.
When you were overseas, did you go to any overseas cities when you hit port in Germany or France or England?
Just Bremerhaven, Stuttgart in Germany,
Mhm.
Reykjavik in Iceland, Southampton in England.
Anything outstanding about those cities?
No.
Now, what did you normally do when you went aboard,
Uh,
when you went to
we
these
went to
cities?
cities. Well, essentially travel a little, rent a car or rent a motorcycle or something and just travel around.
Mhm. And was it more than just going to a bar?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a strange city and you've never been there before and
Yeah.
people are different and
When you traveled, did you travel in uniform?
we never wore uniform in Merchant Marine.
You never did?
No,
Mhm.
it's just civilian clothes.
Just civilian clothes. But did they recognize you as an American?
Oh yeah, they know.
How did they know?
They can tell by looking at you, I guess.
Yeah.
They know. Your accent.
How did you find some of these cities that you visited?
Well, it was-
Was the devastation still
Oh
there?
yeah, there was still, the buildings were bombed, and everything. They were just trying to get the buildings going. You
Yeah.
see bombings all over the place.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's especially in Germany.
Really?
Yeah,
Stuttgart especially?
Stuttgart,
Bremerhaven?
Bremerhaven, the buildings they were just starting to repair them. There's a lot of them just down, terrible. Streets are up.
Were you able to discern whether or not the people themselves had any reaction against the Americans for
No,
Doing
they
this.
were friendly.
they were?
Oh yeah.
And tell us about Southampton, England. Did you have any reaction against the English when you were there? How did they treat you?
Good. The English were good. In fact, they treated us good in England because we were allies. So
Yeah.
So they treated us good.
Now, this was post-World War II and just prior to Korea. So, that being said, you were in kind of a transitional time
Yeah.
in your service. There were troops going back and forth, but there was still a lot of military installations operating. Did you see any devastation in England?
Not really. No. Southampton was pretty.
Yeah.
I guess London got hit a lot, but I never got to London.
Yeah. Can you hold on just a minute here? Okay, so you were in Southampton, England as well. And and of course you were, I'm sure, able to see some of the devastation in England as well.
Yeah, but it wasn't that bad.
It wasn't?
Because Southampton's on the coast. I guess
Uh-huh.
they didn't hit the coast too much.
They didn't.
No.
Did you have occasion to go to London?
No, I never got there.
Never went there?
No.
Southampton was about the closest you ever got to England?
Right.
Okay. Did you have occasion to see any of their aircraft flying around?
No.
Not particularly.
Just going across the channel was, sometimes it was rough. It's just
Yeah. So the channel is like 19 miles.
something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So you go from Southampton to Bremerhaven, or Southampton to Nice,
Yeah,
or Southampton to Reykjavik in Iceland.
Reykjavik in Iceland, yeah.
Tell us about Iceland. What was Iceland
Well,
like?
Iceland was, we couldn't go ashore alone, because I guess it was communist at that time.
It was communist.
I think so, yeah. We had to go in pairs, because they didn't like us.
Really?
But we had an Air Force base up there.
Yes.
But they, for some reason, they told us that they don't like us because they're communists.
Really?
So we didn't bother with them so much. We just
So
went-
when you went to Reykjavik, why did you go there? Again, to
Well-
rotate the troops?
Yeah, because there was an Air Force base up there, and some troops wanted to come back, I guess, just
I see.
the enlistment was up or whatever.
Uh-huh. And did you go there during the wintertime or summertime?
It was winter time, but when you get up there, it's 24 hours daytime.
Really?
You don't see this, it doesn't get nighttime, it's 24 hours day.
Did that upset your clock?
Yeah, your body, you have to get used to it, yeah.
Mhm.
I guess they have 6 months daytime and 6 months nighttime, so.
Now, when you dropped your troops off and got a new load of troops in, how long does it take for you to go through that rotation?
Well, from Germany to New York, we dropped them off in Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah.
We usually go from Germany to Southampton, England, and drop some off, pick some up, and then took us 11 days to go back to Brooklyn, New York.
Now, what I'm saying is, say when you went to Iceland to drop off some troops and pick up a
Oh,
new
it's
group
about
of
3
troops.
days.
3 days?
Yeah.
So you had 3 days, say, to look around.
Yeah,
at,
look around and
Iceland.
everything, yeah.
Was there much to see in Iceland?
Yeah, a lot of pretty girls.
Really?
Oh, I'm telling you, I never seen as much pretty girls anywhere.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Were they friendly?
Well, not really.
No.
Yeah, no with sailors.
They didn't go crazy over Americans or
No,
sailors or
no,
anything
not
like
up
that?
there, 'cause that's where we had to go in pairs.
Really?
Yeah,
And I suppose the men didn't like you that well either.
no.
And did you notice any fights or anything?
No, that's it.
Yeah. Okay, so your average time in port to transfer troops, offload and onload new troops, was about 3 days. Is
About
that
3
it?
days, yeah.
And in that period of time, you had to reprovision your ships with food,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
fuel, and everything else?
Yeah.
Okay. What did you think about the condition of the ships that you were in, that you served in?
You're talking Merchant Marine now?
Yeah,
Good, it was good condition, yeah.
yeah. They weren't old World War II tubs, were they?
Well, the crew was good, but I guess the troops, they didn't like it, because it was 3-4 bunks high. They had to sleep.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And they complained, and their chow wasn't that good either.
No?
They complained about the chow, yeah.
Really?
We had good food, though. The crew had good food.
Crew had good food, but the troops...
Troops didn't have nothing, yeah.
Okay. But so far as your experience in the Navy is concerned, what did you think about the ships that you're working in there?
Well, they were good, good ships.
Good ships?
Good ships, I think some ships had good chow and some ships did, but,
What about the condition of the ships?
well, the condition was, most of them were okay, because in the Navy, you got more people to do the job than you need. So they kept everything, they were always painting, chipping the deck and painting, and
Really?
it never stops.
Mhm.
Because they got more people to do all the dirty work and everything.
So, you say that sometimes it was rough going across the Atlantic, that the weather
Oh
usually...
yeah, sometimes you'll hit some bad weather there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's,
And did you have occasion to batten down the hatches and stay
oh yeah,
inside?
yeah, there's a special sea detail.
Yeah.
You have to strap yourself when you sleep and strap yourself in the bunk.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now, when you got out of the service, finally, going through this experience of co-op training with the Merchant Marine and the Northeastern University. You finally graduated and you went into private industry as an electrician. Where did you end up? What was the last position you had?
My last position was Aerotech.
Uh-huh.
Aerotech, I spent 17 years with them.
Mhm.
And I traveled around with them too. I traveled to Belgium. They sent me to Belgium to do some work, and all around the United States.
This is all electrical,
Electronics.
electronics.
Yeah.
Okay. And that you apparently liked your position there,
Yeah.
and this is prior to your retirement.
Correct.
During this period of time, were you a member of the post?
No.
When did you join Corporal Paul S. Masubian post?
It's about 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Mhm.
And how did you find the boys in the post?
Good. It was
Yeah.
good, friendly. In fact, I look forward to coming every month.
You do?
Yeah.
Is that because of the food or because of the guys?
Both.
Both. Okay. And have you exchanged any of your stories with some of the guys at the post?
Yeah, we talk, different things. Some of my Navy guys I talk with,
Uh-huh. And who was responsible for having you join the Corporal Paul S. Masubian post?
Charlie Nahabedian.
Uh-huh. And what did he say?
Well, he said, why don't you join us? A lot of Armenians there, and I was a member of American Legion at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and in Brighton.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie said, join, there's a lot of Armenian people, you enjoy it. So
Yeah.
I joined.
So you transferred from not transferred, but you came here. Do you still go to the Legion?
No,
Okay.
but I'm still a member.
You're still a member of the American Legion?
Mhm.
Okay. Any difference between one and the other?
Well, here's more friendly because it's your people. It's the kind of people you live with, Armenians.
Uh-huh. And you've participated in post activities, and you do have a enjoyable relationship with your comrades here.
Yes.
All right. Is there anything I haven't covered?
No.
I think I've been pretty complete
Yeah.
discovering all of your nooks and crannies of your experience.
Mhm.
And tell me, why hasn't your brother joined the post?
Well, he lives in Brockton, so it's kind of
Mhm.
a long ride to come here.
Okay. Have you ever suggested it to him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, he just took
Or have
off.
you invited him for dinner here?
Yeah, he was here about a month ago.
Good.
Him and his son.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, next time he comes, make sure you introduce him to me. We'll get him in.
Okay.
So, what does your brother Armin do?
Well, he's retired now
From,
from printing.
so he was in the printing business.
Correct.
So he came out of the Air Force into printing.
Correct.
What is the highest rank he ever received in the Air Force?
I don't remember.
You know, no idea. Okay. All right. Okay, we're going to sign off this interview with our comrade, Neshon Hagopian, on Wednesday, September 24, 2003. I did have to look at the watch because I always forget the date. And Neshon, we want to thank you for participating in this oral history project. As you know, the Oral History Project is a project of the Library of Congress, and we are going to be transferring this tape to the Library of Congress, the Watertown Library. We'll keep an archive here at the Post, and we'll probably provide you with a copy of the tape. What I was going to ask you is, you experience present politics, protests of wars and things like this. This tape won't be shown, or probably will be shown to future generations long after we're gone, probably in the year 2010, 2015, 2020. What do you say to future generations with regard to the security of the country and the duty to protect it? what would you say if they say, well, should I serve in the military before I go to college or after I go to college? How should I think about the country? Do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, all I can say is, you're living in the greatest country in the world, and you should protect it and do everything you can to stop any other foreign person that wants to do harm to this country. Fight and do anything you can to preserve this liberty that you have, because no other country has this liberty that we have, and we should fight for it. If somebody bothers us, trying to take this liberty away from us, this freedom is precious, and all you young people should fight. If you have to, you fight for the freedom and that we have in this country, because you don't really know the freedom we have in this country until you leave and go to other countries. So I just hope that you'll think this way. Thank you.
We have freedom of religion,
Yeah,
freedom to do what we want, freedom to say what we want.
that's right.
We have the freedom to live with whom we want, and from that freedom comes the freedom to exercise the strongest points that we have. You, for instance, are an electrician. I am a lawyer. There are people here who are engineering. There are people who develop their strongest points, and there's no government that can tell us where we're supposed to work, in what branch we're supposed to work, in what field we're supposed to pursue, or what school we're going to go. These are the freedoms that we sometimes take for granted. Isn't that right?
That's right. That's correct.
And the freedom to do anything that we want. We even have the freedom to starve if we want. We have the freedom to go into the desert and be left alone. We have the right and the freedom to be left alone. We can do as much or as little as we want. And that is the precious thing that we preserve and that we cherish in this country. Isn't that right?
That's correct. That's correct.
And many people who don't really realize that we have that freedom only come to the realization that we have it only after they have been deprived of that freedom. Today we have paramilitary groups that mix in with our population whose aim is to tear down this country, to grab what they can out of the country without working for it, without being responsible for it. And it is the duty, I think, of all of us to make sure that this country is, as it was conceived to be, a free country, a free nation that gives freedom of everybody, no matter what race, religion, or creed they follow, to pursue their dream. And that's what we call the American dream. Isn't that right?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. So this is Major Greg Arabian, Oral History Director of Post 41 of the Watertown, Massachusetts AMVETS, signing off. And Neshon, thank you very much
Yeah,
for
thank
being
you for
part
having-
of this
Thank you
history.
for having me.
Okay.